All right, so today I'm here to inform you about a new music school that I'm going to be opening in Piscataway, New Jersey. All right. Now, how many people in here have had music lessons at some point in their life? All right, great. Did you know that music lessons, outside of teaching you your skill with either piano or flute or voice, or choir, actually helps with increasing graduation rates for students, having higher levels of educational attainment, and incomes. So what you probably didn't know is, what does learning how to play the flute have to do with a six-figure salary? Well, learning to play the flute and other musical instruments and voice actually teaches certain skills such as focusing, critical thinking, attention to detail, and decision making. And we saw from that Forbes article that those are a few of the top 10 characteristics that employers like to see in their employees. And it can help advance your career when you're at the company and possibly lead to a six-figure salary. I interviewed Shannon Elizabeth Hunt, who is a soprano, and she is a musical instructor. She teaches classical music. She's been a professional singer for about 13 years. And what she told me is that musical education, outside of learning how to play the piano or voice, you actually learn how to focus on tasks. You learn how to deal with fear because you're performing. And part of what we do, what we're going to have to do, what we're doing right now, is actually performing. You learn how to engage the audience. Another thing that it teaches is dealing with self-coaching and self-doubt. The fact that you have to go through learning how to sing or play the piano actually gives you more experience and practice in doing those things. It also exposes you to other cultures. If you're learning classical music, you can learn about another culture through the music. And being MBA students and writer, having a global perspective on business, that will help us connect more with our global colleagues. So first, let's talk about graduation rates. There was a poll conducted by the National Society for Musical Education, and what they said and what they did was they polled principals and vice principals around the country. And what they found was that 96% of those principals that responded said that musical education actually helps students stay in school. Now, 89% of those principals said that they believe that music education actually increases their graduation rates. And what this poll also found was that schools with a robust musical education program actually has higher graduation rates than schools that do not. Those percentages are 93% for schools with the educational programs and 85% for schools without the musical education programs. So going to the next step is educational attainment. There was a poll conducted by Harris Poll Online in 2007. It said that 65% of people with high school education or less have had some musical education. 81% of the people polled that had some college had some musical education. 86% of those that responded that have college degrees actually have music education, and 88% actually of the people who had postgraduate degrees had some type of musical education at some point in their lives. So that shows a strong correlation between musical education and folks who get advanced degrees. Musical education also shows a correlation between standardized testing. The No Child Left Behind Act, they had some stats, and it said that students that had some type of musical background, musical educational background, they scored 22 points higher on the verbal portion of the test and 20 points higher on the math portion. SAT showed similar results. For students who had musical education in their background, they had 57% score higher on verbal and 43 scored higher on the math portion. So there shows some type of correlation there between musical education and standardized tests. And finally, we'll get to incomes. With graduation rates being increased, with higher levels of educational attainment from musical education, you get higher incomes. 70, the same poll showed that people who make $50,000 or less a year, 70% of them have actually had musical education in their background. But for those who made $150,000 a year or higher, 83% of those individuals actually had music education in their background. So that shows a good correlation between the two. So, what does learning to play the flute have to do with six-figure salaries? Well, it seems like it has to do a lot. In the program that we're going to have at the new music school will actually help to develop those skills and possibly impact people's lives to actually move their careers forward and make more money, have higher income. That's it. I want to wrap that.